The K, Chapter 5. I guess it was toward noon on the third day aboard the raft that Timothy said tensely, "I hear the mota." A mota? Shh! I listened. Yes, there was a far-off engine sound coming in faintly above the slap of the sea. Then I could hear Timothy moving around. "'Tis an aircraft," he said. My heart began to pound. They were looking for us. I felt around, then crawled from beneath the shelter to look toward the sound, but I could see nothing. I heard the hinges on the trapdoor creak. Timothy said quietly, as though afraid to chase the sound away, "It knowing what we doing ere by seeing smoke, I do believe." He ripped down one of the triangle legs, and I heard cloth tearing. Soon he said, "We made the torch, young boss. The man up there be seeing the smoke all right. All right." The faint drone of the aircraft seemed closer now. In a moment, I smelled cloth burning and knew he was holding the wrapped piece of wood toward the sky. He shouted, "Look down here!" But already the drone seemed to be fading. Timothy yelled, "I see it! I see it! Way to port!" I tried to make my eyes cut through the darkness. "Is he coming our way?" Don't know, young boss," Timothy replied anxiously. I said, "I can't hear it now." There was nothing in the air but the sea sounds. Timothy shouted, "Look down here! There's a raft with a little blind boy, an old man and Stukat! Look down here, I tell you!" The drone could not be heard. Just the slap of the water and the sound of the light wind making our shelter flap. We were alone again on the ocean. After a moment of silence, I heard the sizzle of the water as Timothy doused the torch. He sighed deeply. "I be ready next time for true. Let the torch dry, then I be ready." Soon he sat down beside me. "'Tis a good thing not to harass the soul over this. We are edging into the aircraft track, same as the ship they run." I said nothing, but put my head down on my knees. "Do not be disheartened, young boss. Today we will be found to be true." The long, hot day was passing without sight of anything. I knew Timothy was constantly scanning the sea. It was all so calm now that the raft didn't even seem to be drifting. Once, I crawled over to the edge to touch the warm water and felt Timothy right behind me. He said, "Careful, young boss. The shark always hungry, always waiting for the man to fall overboard." Drawing back from the edge, I asked, "Are there many here?" "Yes, many here. But long as we have our raft, they do not molest us." Standing on the seawall at Willemstad, sometimes I'd seen their fins in the water. I'd also seen them on the dock at the Reuterkarty market, their mouths open with those sharp teeth, grinning. I went back under the shelter, spending a long time rubbing Stukat. He purred and pushed himself along my body. I was glad that I had seen him and had seen Timothy before going blind. I thought how awful it would have been to awaken on the raft and not know what they looked like. Timothy must have been standing over us, for he said, "Caught, not good luck." After a moment he added, "But to cause the death of a caught is very bad luck." "I don't think Stukat is bad luck," I said. "I'm glad he's here with us." Timothy did not answer, but turned back, I guess, to watch the sea again. I could imagine those bloodshot eyes set in that massive, scarred black face sweeping over the sea. "Tell me what's out there, Timothy," I said. It was very important to know that. Now, I wanted to know everything that was out there. He laughed. "Just miles of blue water. Miles of blue water." "Nothing else?" He realized what I meant. "Oh, to be sure, young boss. I see a fish jump way forward. That mean large fish chase him. Then, a while back, a turtle passes port side, but too far out to reach him back." His eyes were becoming mine. "What's in the sky, Timothy?" "In the sky? He searched it. No clouds, young boss. Just blue like 'twas yesterday. But now and then I see a petrel. While ago, a booby. I laughed for the first time all day. It was a funny name for a bird. A booby? Timothy was quite serious. This booby I saw was a blueface, maybe nesting out o' Serenilla Bank, maybe not. They be feeding on the flying fish. I true watching the birds 'cause they tell us you're very close to the shore. How does a booby look, Timothy? Nothing much, he replied. Tail like our chocolate, sharp beak, most white on his body. I tried to picture it, wondering if I'd ever see a bird again. In the early morning, I knew it was early because the air was still cool and there was dampness on the boards of the raft. I heard Timothy shout, I see an island, true! In wild excitement, I stumbled up and fell overboard. I went under the water, yelling for him, then came up gasping. I heard a splash and knew he was in the water too. Something slapped up against my leg, and I thought it was Timothy. I knew how to swim, but didn't know which way to go, so I was treading water. Then I heard Timothy's frightened roar, Sharks! And he was thrashing about near me. He grabbed my hair with one hand and used his other arm to drag me back toward the raft. I had turned on my face and was trying to hold my breath. Then I felt my body being thrown, and I was back on boards of the raft, gasping for air. I knew that Timothy was still in the water because I could hear splashing and cursing. The raft tilted down suddenly on one side. Timothy was back aboard. Panting, he bent over me. He yelled, Damn fool, man! I told you about the shark! I knew Timothy was in a rage. I could hear his heavy breathing and knew he was staring at me. Shark all round us! All the time! He roared. I said, I'm sorry. Timothy said, On this raft, you crawl, young boss. You hear me? I nodded. His voice was thick with anger, but in a moment, after he took several deep breaths, he asked, You all right, young boss? I guess he sat down beside me to rest. His breathing was still heavy. Finally, he said, Man, die quick out there. We'd both forgotten about the island. I said, Timothy, you saw an island. He laughed. Yes, the island. There 'tis. I said, Where? Timothy answered scornfully. There! Look, man! Look! Angrily, I said to him, I can't see. He kept forgetting that. His voice was low when he said, Yes, young boss, that be true. In all this harassment with the shark, I did forget. Then I felt his hands on my shoulders. He twisted them. That direction, young boss. Straining to look where he had me pointed, I asked, Are there any people on it? 'Tis a very small island, outrageous low. I repeated, Are there any people on it? I thought they could contact my father and then send for help. Timothy answered honestly, No, young boss, no people. People not be living on the island that has no water. No people? No water? No food? No phones? It was not any better than the raft. In fact, it might be worse. How far away are we? About 2 miles, Timothy said. Maybe we should stay on the raft. A schooner will see us, or an airplane. Timothy said positively, No, we better off on land. And we be drifting that way. The tide be running with us. His voice was happy. He wanted to be off the sea. I was certain my father had planes and ships out looking for us. I said, Timothy, the Navy is searching for us. I know. Timothy did not answer me. He just said, 'Tis a pretty thing, to be sure. I see a white beach, and behind that, low sea grape bushes. Then on the hill, some palm, maybe 20, 30 palm. I was sure he couldn't even see that far. I said, Timothy, wouldn't it be better if we stayed on the raft and found a big island with people on it? He ignored me. He said, Bite in the night, I saw surf washing over banks off to port, but did not waken you, young boss, but knew we be getting near the quays. I said, I don't want to go on that island. I don't think there was anyone on earth as stubborn as old Timothy. There was steel in his voice when he answered, We be goin' on dat island, young boss. Dat be true. But he knew how I felt, because he added, From this island we will get help. Be true. I swear.